seen a ghost. Um, and he's like, I don't know, but it's outside. Go look, please. Um, when he explained it to his parents, they said he was crazy. But to this day, he won't go outside by himself. Someone still has to watch me to my car. Um, there are some pretty crazy things going on up that road. But they never experienced never dreamed they experience anything like this. Um, he went to see the Mothman prophecies, and he relived that night all over again. Um, it was exactly 32 years to the month when this person had saw the Mothman. Um, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where all that took place 37 years ago. It was 32 years to the date that it had happened. So, yeah, seeing things? No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody could make anything like that up. Not the Mothman. He's a pretty creepy dude, actually. There's all kinds of creatures all over the world that are sighted. Some, well, yeah, of course, they're hoaxes. We know this. But some you kind of question. You think to yourself, oh my God could because everybody says the same thing, whether it's, on one side of an island or two counties over, whatever it is, and they have also seen it. So, you just wonder. There are things out there I think we can't explain. And of course, you have your scientists, yeah, right, okay. Because they're black and white. They don't see anything in between. So, moving on. This is an interesting one. It's called the Invisible Sprinting Humanoids. And this is in Portsmouth, England. And they have a lot of strange things going on over there. And this person is a policeman in Portsmouth, England. And of course, they're confronted with situations that are bizarre and unnerving at a lot of times. Okay, honey, go ahead. The incident that occurred on the 25th of November last year was the weirdest of them all. They were doing a routine speed camera set up in the city. It was around 6:30 p.m. And over there, it was completely dark by them. And their street speed trap picked up random tracings of non-existent objects hurtling past at 30 to 40 miles per hour. They couldn't see anything, but they were picking up the speeds. These devices are not actually known to malfunction, so they trained the camera on the road surface to see what they picked up. And they were sitting in the back of the patrol van and were shocked to discover on the screen that the camera was picking up what can only be described as human figures running up and down the street approximately 40 feet away from the vehicle, only barely visible through the night vision filter. They were of average height, silvery hue, and were sprinting up and down the central road, the dividing surface between the lanes, repeatedly and very fast. They were just running up and down the roads. They didn't exit the vehicle to investigate, but apparently they didn't have to. About 10 feet away at the side of the road, one of these silver entities appeared on the screen. Female, approximately 6 foot high, and standing motionless, facing away from the van. She was dressed in scantily clad clothing, not unlike that of a young woman on an evening out. They were extremely freaked out, considering leaning out the window, there was absolutely nothing there. As the first vehicle, only 5 minutes from the first sighting, drove past, all visible evidence of the entities had vanished. Excuse me. Nothing occurred from that time till the end, about 9 p.m. And yet, when they played back the footage, the silvery objects and the woman aren't on the tape. They did report the incident, but friends and fellow officers had also seen this. And they all agreed, that's so weird. Can you imagine? Kind of reminds me of the, like, sprites or fairies, but larger. Because they have the, scantily clothed and usually not visible like that. Okay, very cool. So that's very cool. Those were they were just running up and down the road, sprinting humanoids. Okay, interesting. But the best place to see some of these, you have Josh Gates' Destination Truth. There's Mysterious Creatures, I think the show is called. There's plenty of shows you can watch to catch some of these. They're very, I think they're intriguing, some of them. This one's called the Red-Eyed Roadside Cryptid. And this was in Texas in 2000 in June, of course at night, about 1 a.m. This person got off from work and was headed east. There's a 90-degree turn on this road where he was going, and at times you have to watch because cattle might be out on the road. And that's when they thought what had happened. That's, cattle were on the road. There was no one else on the road, but they saw red eyes that would look at the truck lights and look down over and over. And they knew something wasn't right here. They were driving on the left side of the road, and when they got close, they noticed that this red-eyed creature stood about 5 foot tall, sported black hair all over its body. They stopped their truck, got out the spotlight, and shined it on the creature. And it seemed like forever, but it was only a few minutes. This creature raised its arm above its head and let out the most horrendous scream I have ever heard. Turned around and went behind a house and disappeared. They have heard this sound before when they lived in Orange, Texas. That's just a few miles from that road. And he's been told that this creature is related to Bigfoot somehow. It's real possible. Except, Bigfoot, they say the most thing about him is the stink. That is so bad that you'll smell him before he even gets there. So this creature has been seen by many, and it's called the Red-Eyed Roadside Cryptid. So interesting as far as that goes. And only all of them but one are here in the U.S. So definitely strange. Pennsylvania is also a big hot spot for a lot of these sightings. I thought I saw a Bigfoot once, and it was down in the metro parks. And there's some areas of the metro parks that are very dense and very, what's the word I want to use? Very isolated, okay? And you could see it through the trees. It's kind of like you would go on the side where there's places to park, and there would be, flat ground, and then maybe a creek, and then kind of a hillside. And up on the hill, yeah, Michigan's good for that, that's for sure. There's a couple of things in Michigan we're going to talk about. But in this hill, like in between the trees, you could see this figure. It looked like Bigfoot. Whether it was or not, don't know yet. Maybe someday I'll go looking for him. Who knows? It'd be pretty cool, though. In Pennsylvania, there's 3 encounters with some unusual creatures. Year after year, members of the public come forward and report their encounters with strange creatures that aren't supposed to exist. This was in 2011, November. This is called the Creature of Mud Creek Road in Troy, Pennsylvania. They got a call from a man who, with his girlfriend, had a frightening encounter with a strange creature outside of Troy in Bradford County. They told what they saw scared the hell out of them. They were able to interview these people after conducting extensive interviews. This is what was learned. At 11:05 p.m. that evening, they were driving onto Mud Creek Road. As they continued down the road, their attention was drawn to the left side. The man who was the driver saw some movement and mentioned it to his friend. The woman initially thought that the naked man was crawling on the side of a road. Oh, that would be creepy just in itself. The driver decreased his speed. He slowed down. He swerved his truck into the middle of the road and directed the high beams of his headlights onto the subject. The driver was not a person. Oh, the driver stopped about 30 to 40 feet away. It was not a person, duh. They realized that this was not a person, but a creature that was crawling very low to the ground. And they watched this creature move with a squatting position with its back completely straight, kind of like a kangaroo. The arms of the creature were held tightly to its body, would look like long claws that resembled the talons of an eagle, were very visible. They were estimated to be about 8 to 10 inches in length. Ooh, those are razors. One claw was shorter than the other. The creature had a muscular body. The head of the beast appeared to be oversized and shaped like that. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, allergies, I think. I did take medicine, but I don't know. Might have to take some more. Oh, so I apologize. It appeared to be oversized in shape, and the head shaped like a wolf. At the top of its head were two pointed ears that looked to be about 4 to 6 inches long. The entire creature was covered with dull, wrinkly, dark black skin. Ew, that sounds gross. They described seeing a large canine-like teeth also. And the eyes of the creature were about the size of a silver dollar and shiny black. They stated that even though he had his high beams directed at the creature, the eyes did not reflect at all. He looked over the body during the encounter, and for some reason thought the creature should have wings, but none were apparent in the creature's position. And the creature seemed to be about 5 foot tall. As they watched, the creature began to stretch its body. The man said at that point the animal started to stand up on its back legs while also falling over onto its front feet. They said that in position, the creature seemed to be about 6 to 7 feet tall. The creature then fell over on all 4 legs. They observed that the front claws of the creature seemed to be were now 2 feet across the center line of the highway, while the back feet remained 1 to 2 feet from the road, from the edge of the road. Once it realized it was being watched, it leaned back slightly and reached forward with its claws. The creature then took one tremendous leap and cleared a 7-foot embankment and moved out of sight into a wooded area. They estimated that leap was about 40 feet long. As it was in the process of leaping, it was perfectly straight and held its front claws forward. And they left soon after that. But something else odd occurred. A large bird, possibly an owl, suddenly rushed at the passenger side of the windows, almost hitting the glass, took off, and did not return. It happened so fast they weren't sure if it was an owl or not, though. Witnesses indicate that this creature appeared to be changing form. Its shape was nothing like when it was squatted, and that it shaped into another form. She thought it was a dark brown color, looked like a werewolf, and with black hair. So they were almost describing a shapeshifter. Yeah, you're not kidding, because they said it actually changed form. So how creepy is that? And after it leapt into the woods, it stood up, and they estimated about 9 feet tall. What they thought of was a man changing into a werewolf type thing. You know, that kind of shape-shifting. The closest thing, they went on the internet and tried to find out what this creature was. The closest thing they could find was a gargoyle with no wings. And of course, they've had several different reports on this creature. And this is in Pennsylvania. Some of those areas up there are really, isolated. So This just happened not too long ago. This was in March of 2012. Fayette County, PA.